knowing that I was in a wonderful position to be there, but I still realized I had a lot to learn. And so I knew that I couldn't have a head about the title. I had to have a heart about the work. There are certain things that you may be ready for, but there are other things that you can only learn in action.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Brandy Harvey. I am so excited that you have decided to join us for another inspiring, thought-provoking conversation here at Vault Empowers Talk. Today is no different. Every week we bring you wonderful, exciting new people. And I'm excited to have this conversation. I feel like we go way back.
We do.
Like, we go way back. Like, I feel like we've been knowing each other for a distance for a very long time. And so I need you, before we get started, to like, comment, share, but most of all, subscribe to the Vault Village so you do not miss out on the wonderful stuff we have going on over here. Now, let's get into this conversation. TV and media personality, style maven. Look at this stylish chick sitting next to me. Co-founder of Brown Girl Jane, a 5-fragrance blend designed to improve your mood. Creator and founder of Morning Mindset with Tai. It started off as an IG Live and has spawned into an international retreat and monthly meetups. I am so excited to have this conversation on wellness and all things wonder. Welcome to Vault Empowers Talk, Miss Tai Beauchamp.
Brandy.
Come on now, church.
Girl.
Listen, this about to be a good girlfriend conversation.
You already know what it is.
I feel like we too far away anyway.
It's like the mics are here, so we got to stay with the mics. But I'm like, you're here. I'm so...
This really, people don't even know. When you talk about how things are so divine,
Amen.
This was one of those last minute things that really came. We are in LA. You don't see us in our regular Atlanta studio. We're in Los Angeles. And when you got the favor, because it's fair, okay? When you got favor, you get people who show up for you at the last minute and say, yes, I'm going to come and support.
That was a no-brainer. I mean, literally when Sinclair on my team said that Brandy wants to shoot, you're scheduled to do it in Atlanta in October, but, let's figure it out. I was like, perfect. I was like, let's do it.
It worked out.
I am so deeply honored, and I celebrate you, so...
But I always feel that. I mean, you always, from Carly and I, you've always been one of those cheerleaders from a distance. And I think the same thing. I remember seeing you years ago at Essence Fest, and we were kind of friends from a distance then, and just have always showed up in different ways in each other's lives. So I'm excited for this.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, people may not know this because they see that you've done so many things in your career. You are like the cat with 9 lives. Like you
25.
You keep evolving, right? But it never feels out of character, out of your wheelhouse, right? But 25 years old, you were the youngest beauty director, right? At 17 magazine. But you said something really interesting in one of your interviews. You said that you learned very early in your 20s that titles were important, but you did not allow that to define you. You had the confidence, but you didn't have the authority.
Yeah. I mean, it's so crazy to think, and wow. So that was almost 20 years ago.
Crazy.
Which is crazy, and I meet young people, and hopefully I'm still trying to keep it tight and together and all those things.
Listen, y'all don't see these legs, honey.
Trying to keep it together. And so, sometimes I forget for myself that I'm 45 years old. But yeah, I was really blessed, but I also worked really hard. Yeah. I was an intentional worker. I was a person, who I think came out of the womb, feeling purposed in some way and driven in another way. And I think statistically, the drive came from some of the, circumstances that surrounded my birth, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about. But, becoming the beauty director, the first African-American, we were saying African-American then and not Black, the first African-American and youngest beauty director in history at 17 magazine when I was 25. This was before social media. So there were no conversations about it. There were no, big posts. I mean, you had an announcement in media. There was Media Bistro and a couple other places that were, that shared that type of news. And I had worked really hard to get there, and I was also very fortunate that I had people around me that saw my possibilities. And those were incredible women like Michelle Hux at Hearst Magazines. That was Gayle King. That was Ellen Levine at Hearst Magazines, who saw my possibility. Even people like Susan Taylor. So my career trajectory is I started interning while I was in college. I interned at Harper's Bazaar and Good Housekeeping while I was a student at Spelman. And then as I was graduating, they were launching the Oprah magazine in 2000. And so that was my first job out of college. I literally started at Oprah and worked on the third issue a month after graduating Spelman. So it was like a dream come true. And I was fortunate because people like Amy Gross and Gayle King, when I worked at Oprah Magazine, saw my drive and saw, my passion for service, quite frankly, because that's what being an editor is. You're storytelling. You're helping women to feel elevated, especially at a place like Oprah. And so I was promoted quite a bit at Oprah Magazine. I think I had like 3 or 4 promotions in the course of like a year and like 4 months. And then I went to work on a title. Susan Taylor and Elaine Fluker at Essence hired me to work on prototypes of what would become Suede magazine, which was no longer around. And then I went to 17 magazine when I was 25. And so I had some experience. So I say all of that to say, the confidence I had, I think the pedigree I had, even some of the knowledge I had. But at 25, you're still learning to be in yourself.
Yeah.
And, I speak to a lot of young people now, and, there is a lot of sometimes authentic confidence and sometimes false confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I think social media really kind of creates a space for people to feel, more confident and assured than perhaps some of the experience has caught up with. And I
think it's a little more entitled. I think people...
That too. So let's call it what it is. Slash that confidence entitled. But I remember, knowing that I was in a wonderful position to be there, and excited to be there, but I still realized I had a lot to learn. But at the same time, having these titles, I went back home to New Jersey, and my family is from Newark, New Jersey, which I rep proudly. And so when I would go back home, at the time, the Oranges in Central Jersey, where my mom and my stepdad are, they're educators. So I had kids from, Newark public schools in my environment. And so I knew that I couldn't have a head about the title. I had to have a heart about the work. And dog, that was the, come on, clip that. That's it. That's the one. I couldn't have a head about the title, but I had a heart about the work. But I just think that that's the spirit of who I am. Yeah. And I learned a lot about myself while at 17. I worked harder than most, but I also recognized later when I decided to leave at 26, so I was there for about a year, that there are certain things that you may be ready for, but there are other things that you can only learn in action.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm happy that I got that lesson at that age, because it helped to kind of cement a lot of how now I show up, not with the kind of ego or the presence of me knowing everything, but knowing that I have something to contribute meaningfully, but I'm also going to take and grow from something that I'm learning in that experience.
It's interesting because Carly and I were just talking about that this morning. We were talking about in our 20s, how you show up in your 20s, with the bravado, thinking you know everything. I got it. I'm like the little superhero. But there's so much that you learned along the way, that really teaches you patience and how to slow down, kind of savor the situations and savor the moments. And so you learned a lot at a very young age, which kind of propelled you into those next. You were at Vibe Vixen, right?
Yeah. So after 17, I left 17, and then I went and did philanthropic work in Newark, which I think we were connecting meaningfully around that time too. With my mentor's family foundation. And then as I was doing that philanthropic work in Newark, I got called to become the editor-in-chief of Vibe Vixen.
Which is like quintessential, like if you were in college during that time, you knew like you were running to get the new drop of Vibe Vixen.
Yeah,
it was going. Yeah,
it was, and for me, that was the other thing. It was recognizing that here I was working with this demographic of young people who were strivers and wanted to reach for something. Yeah. And we're also dynamically connected to culture, right? Yeah. Because here I am in an urban community that's outside of New York City where there's a lot of culture happening. And I thought and I was so grateful when Danielle Smith called me for that opportunity to go in and lead this title. I did it simultaneously. So that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial kind of existence too. So I went into the Vibe Vixen offices 3 days a week, and I did my philanthropic work on the other 2 days of the week.
Oh, wow.
So, but I was able to extract what I was seeing from having my, foot on the ground
Yeah.
in the community and knowing like these are things that young women want. These are things that they're thinking about, and wanting to create a title with my awesome team at Vibe Vixen that had a distinct point of view, but also allowed, young women, urban women to see themselves where they were, but also to aspire to where they wanted to go. So we added, to Vibe Vixen, we had a home section. We had, it's funny, Mashonda is a dear friend of mine, and we were covering art in Vibe Vixen. We were talking about, being in the club and what it's like, in misogyny. We were talking about all those layers while having, the fabulous fashion and the newest things. So that was a great time in my life. I don't think I reflect enough on some of those experiences. So thank you for that.
You recently said in one of your, you did a talk during Essence Fest, and you said that you didn't really celebrate along the way. And you didn't really kind of give in to those moments. When you look back at it, do you wish you would have kind of savored the moment a little bit and kind of really taken it all in?
Yeah, I wish that for myself now. I'll be honest, my assistant said to me the other day, we had an incredible year. And I was like, you're right. I do wish I would have savored a lot of those moments. I also, can look back hindsight now and also say that I wish I would have leaned into many aspects of my life a little bit more differently than I did.
How so?
I'm a Capricorn.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Look, two best friends, my daddy, listen, I can't escape y'all. Okay.
I'm so super focused.
Yeah.
I was born that way.
Yeah.
I was born with that intentional kind of like, what am I here to do?
You said purpose driven from the womb.
I have felt that. I felt called to do something. So I do wish I would savor the moments a little bit more. I am, even at this point in my life now, working with intention to breathe and stop. And that's how Morning Mindset was born in many ways. Even my move to LA was a reset for me in that way, because I was on the incredible concrete hamster wheel of New York City all of my life and, all of my professional life until I moved here almost 6 years ago. So I do wish I'm grateful for it now. And then I'm also grateful for moments like this when you sit down and you have someone to read back to you.
Yeah.
Because you also forget.
Yeah.
In real time. But that is the blessing. That is the blessing that we have these moments to say, you did that, sis.
Yeah.
You did that.
So you moved to LA 6 years ago, and that is where you fell in love with hiking. And so hiking, your experience of being able to fall into nature and really experience God in nature was really what you wanted to share. And that's how Morning Mindset with Tai really kind of took, and got his wings.
It's so true. And I realized I always had like a little bit of an outdoorsy thing. Even when I lived in New York and New Jersey, there's a place called South Mountain in the town where I grew up that I would go with my mom, and I would go hiking. But I did not fall in love with it until I moved here to LA. I should also say my grandfather was a black cowboy.
Oh,
so
wow.
I also think that part of this love of nature is something inside me.
Yeah.
But when I moved here to LA, I was definitely going through this phase of, trying to reconcile and, reimagine what my life could and would be. I was a caregiver to my grandmother alongside my mother for 13 years, 11 years in New York City. And then when I moved out here, she passed 2 years later. But a full-time caregiver in addition to running my business.
And that's very draining. Yeah.
And that's the season that a lot of us are entering into at this age in our lives, because our parents are becoming, and I tell my mom and my dad, I don't even call him my stepdad, I said, I'm gonna do the best I can for y'all, but I ain't doing that again. I'm serious. I became a caregiver at 28. So
and it's a lot that people don't understand how exhausting and how taxing it is to give of yourself in that way. And it leaves little left for yourself.
Little left for yourself. And I also think culturally for us as Black people, we also, there's some type of martyrdom around
it's
being,
the duty.
It's you know what I mean? But there's also like this, I did that, and I appreciate that, because that's what we're called to do as family, as community. And that's what we've always done. It's always taken a village, but it takes a village.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, we should suffer as a result of our desire to care for those who have cared for us. But it was a blessing. I learned a lot from it, but it was definitely a hard thing to do, to be a caregiver at 28. At the time, that's when I became the editor of Vibe Vixen that same year. Started my business that same year.
Oh, wow.
Broke up with someone and then got... It was a lot.
All the things we do. You know how we do. We're going to break up, get back together, fall in love, fall out of love.
It was a lot of things. It was a lot of things. But yeah, moving out here to LA really, it repositioned my spirit. And it called my spirit in a new way. And I moved in front of Runyon Canyon, and I was going through a serious state of transition, and that's the other thing I say to people is like, transition leads to transformation if you allow it to. But the other thing is that we can't say that we're having a transition and expect it to be the only transition in life. There are going to be lots of transitions in life. And so this one in particular, I, definitely wasn't as healthy physically as I once was. I certainly now can look back and say that I was dealing with some level of depression. I was questioning everything because I had left New York, which had been such a powerful and prominent existence for me, and defining experience and existence for me professionally and even personally. And I came out here, I was like, what is going on? And I had a place, I had my place at the time was in front of Runyon Canyon. And I looked at my body, and oftentimes that's the thing for us, we'll look at our body. We don't necessarily always dig deep in our hearts and our spirits. I think we're starting to do that a little bit more now. But if you look at yourself in the mirror and you don't begin to recognize yourself, that is your calling card to do something different. Yeah. And so that was part of it for me. And I was just like, I'm just going to get out here on this hill and hike every day. And I did, and I started seeing my body transform. But as I was doing that, I was like, let me get deep into this devotional practice every morning. Like, what is going to be my setup in order for me to get out of this space of the question marks around what was happening professionally, and start to reset some of my practices so that way I could see to my next. Yeah. So I could get out of this present state and see to my next. And I started hiking, and I pulled out a book that Emil Wilbekin, one of my best friends, gifted me in 2012. And it was Until Today by Yana Vizant, her daily devotional. Yeah. And then I just started reading it on IG Live. Yeah. And just sharing like the downloads that were coming to me from this reading as a prompt. And, first time, 10 people in the live, and over a course of time, 50 people in the live, 100 people in the live, 150 people in the live. Yeah. Then I had, notable people who I love and have close relationships with saying, I see you. And then I started inviting people in. And that's how Morning Mindset was born. And I just feel so incredibly grateful and humbled, to be honest, Brandy, because what we don't often realize when we're going through our own mess is that our mess is meant to not only be our mess and our blessing, but it can bless someone else. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so my mess became a blessing to other people. And Morning Mindset is blowing my mind.
I mean, to watch it, really take off and transform, and you get on there consistently. Yeah. Like at 6:15 in the morning. I don't know how, let me tell y'all.
How you do that?
Tai get on there, honey. She'll have a glow, got her pajamas still on. It is nothing in the world that would make me want to do that. Yeah. Listen, I be looking crazy in the morning. Okay. No, you don't, girl. No, you honey, don't. With the lock bonnet. I got a lock bonnet. Okay. So listen. So look, I don't even want to get on there like that. But you have really taken this and transformed it, not only with a morning IG Live, but now it has spawned into a monthly meetup, which I said I'm coming to while I'm here. Well, I'm going to say it on camera so I actually show up.
Look, hold her accountable.
And then a retreat. You just completed your first retreat, international retreat in Bali.
In Bali. Man, God is
showing out.
God is showing out and showing up in incredible partnerships. Yeah. We have an incredible partnership with BET that is going to become an annual partnership. Oh, wow. Over time. So we did our largest hike to date that had more than 300 people traveling in from as far as London and Jamaica and other places around the country to hike and have this experience. And it's called the hiking experience for a reason, Brandy, because people think like, is it just me showing up to hike with Tai? It's a piece of it. Yeah. But it really is a transformational wellness, an integrated wellness experience. So we have 4 key pillars of Morning Mindset with Tai. It is affirm, move. So So you affirm yourself, you affirm others around you, you affirm the presence of God or spirit, and you know, whatever that is for you is God for me. And then you move your body, you move that energy, and then you connect with self, you connect with those around you, connect with spirit, God, and nature. And then you reset to do it all over again. And these are pillars, but they're also principles that have ultimately helped me to go from this space of, you know, floundering to thriving that I want to share with women. And the movement piece is so important because, you know, we think about fitness as a part of wellness, but wellness is really, you know, multi-pronged. It includes it's spiritual wellness, it's communal. You know, it's the idea of being in community, which is really important for us. It is, you know, how you talk to yourself, how you talk to others, how you really appreciate the space that you're in. And it's just been incredible to see this grow. I mean, on a monthly basis with our hiking experiences that we host here, we have about 100 people every single month that join us. We are having our second event on the beach. So we're taking the hiking part and taking it to walking on the beach. And hiking is metaphorical for life. That was the other reason why I wanted people to join in that. It's one foot behind the other. It's one step at a time, one step forward at a time. You might have to pant. You might have to reestablish your footing. You might have to pause. You might feel wobbly, or you might feel super strong and an authority in that. You might have to reach back to your friend or sister and say, help me forward, or push the next person, you know, forward. So that's what hiking has done for me. It transformed my body, but it also transformed my mindset. And it's been incredible to just see how it's grown. We had our first retreat in Bali. We had 26 women fly over from the United States, Black women, ranging in age from 17 all the way up to 65. So it's an intergenerational thing. We have our second retreat happening in Jamaica, January 10th through the 15th. So you can go to morningmindsetwithtai.com to find out more about that. And then we're doing another retreat in Arizona and probably Bali again at the end of 2024.
Yeah. So all this came from you floundering about.
Just like, what the heck is going on?
From floundering about.
From floundering about
to
flying around.
To flying around the world.
To flying, to soaring.
And I think that that's a testament because so many people, we get stuck, right? And we stay stuck for a long time. Yeah. And some folks been stuck 18 years on the couch stuck. In a situation just stuck. And so what was that one thing outside of you saying, I'm going to start hiking? How can women really start to kind of see their way through those moments when they're floundering about?
Well, I think it starts for me with God, right? And so my decision to really renew my relationship with God, to reimagine my relationship with God. And this, you know, again, this happened. The other thing is this is metaphorical for life.
What did that look like for you?
So literally, what morning mindset was me getting up, going into prayer and worship. So prayer and worship. I literally put on a playlist that I can totally share with you.
By yourself.
And I be all the way in worship.
Some of y'all think y'all got to go to the church.
Listen.
Is you right there. You are the church.
All the way in worship. And then I would put that on while I hiked. Yeah. So in those moments when my foot got wobbly, God help me to make this step. Yeah. And so it was spirit first, but then it was also, you know, you talked about earlier, like some of it was a reflection on where I had been. Because oftentimes when we get to this place and we think we're at a plateau or we're feeling like we're in a valley, we forget sometimes that we've had similar experiences in the past that God carried us through. Yeah. And that we walked through, and that we had the confidence and the assuredness or the resilience to actually press through. And so it was reflecting on that. And so I would have praise and worship every single morning. Then I sat down and I would read Ayanla Until Today, and I would read some other devotionals, and I would journal. And then it was also just being intentional about the people I connected with, because everyone is not going to be for you in every single season. So there are some people that are just not going to be the ones that you need to have with you as you're going through that next thing. And so if you're in this state, and I'm going to look at the camera and say this, if you're in a place right now where you know that God is calling you to transform, the first thing is to pause, stop, get connected with yourself and God spiritually. Start asking yourselves those very difficult questions, and being intentional about how you study and who you connect with, so that way you can then be illuminated for yourself around what comes next.
You really tap into, and I love this because you get to define what God or spirit looks like for you, right? And one of my favorite books is Discover the Power Within You by Eric Butterworth. And I think that so many people, we're looking for it outside of ourselves to show up, that there's going to be something that the trumpet's going to sound, the sky's going to open up, and here it is.
Don't wait for that.
And that's it.
Yeah,
you
don't
have
wait
to,
for that.
That's the part.
Yeah, don't wait for that. But I also think that that's unfortunately part of the cultural conditioning that we've had in the past. And historically, we carry the faith of our ancestors, but our faith, looks different. Yeah. And, we have to choose because the environments are different. Yeah. The circumstances are different. If you think about the faith of my grandmother, that looked very different being a woman that was born in 1929 in Kelford, North Carolina. You know what I mean? And, in the circumstances that she was born into. And so we have to redefine that same faith. Now, I'm not saying that the faith itself changes, but we have to redefine what that faith looks like for us and to us and how we tap into it. I love church. And so I actually enjoy going to church, but I know that that's not for some people. Which is why, I always say, even on Morning Mindset, you don't have to believe what I'm going to believe, but you will know what I believe. Yeah. You will know what I believe, and you don't have to. And I try and create that invitation in that space for people to come in and not feel judged, because that's the other thing that I will say is terribly challenging about Christianity, quite frankly, that I've struggled with my whole life. But I also have felt, not struggled with personally, but struggled with understanding. But I was also fortunate, I have a lesbian aunt who would have, been considered queer, who helped really help me be exposed to the creative world. She took me to the West Village when I was 5 years old, and it was nuts. I said, Mom, why you let me go with her? She was like, you wanted to go? I was like, okay, girl, right? I had a Pentecostal grandmother who was an evangelist. I had another grandmother. I went to Mary was, Baptist, but it was more, Methodist than Baptist. I went to Catholic school. My sister's Jewish. I have a half sister's Jewish. My uncle's Muslim. So I grew up exposed to all of this. And knew to love them. Yeah. And I also knew when my uncle took me to the masjid, or when I went to the temple with my little sister and her family, the principles were the same. They are the same. Yeah. Love, be loved. Yeah.
Treat people,
have reverence.
Yeah, treat people with kindness. Treat people how you want to be treated.
It's all the same thing. So when we, my pastor says, Pastor Mike Waldron of First Corinthian Baptist Church in New York City says it all the time. We have so many people that are so obsessed and more concerned about what the doctrine says opposed to the life that Christ lived. Oh, yeah. And Christ as the carpenter went everywhere. Yeah. And met people where they were. And so I think I'm kind of being used in that way, I hope. Yeah. Whether or not it's on the beach or in a club. No, I'm kidding.
but it's the truth. It's the truth. Yeah. Because no matter where we show up, we're really just called to be demonstrators. That's it. Demonstrators of God's love, of his grace, of, the glory of what it is. And so I think that's a testament to who you are. And you say this, that you really bring your life to your work. Yeah. And this is your purpose, is to bring people and illuminate, help them to see the light that's already there inside of their own lives.
That is my calling. Yeah. That is my calling. I recently started saying that I'm a joy sharer and a love depositor. Yeah. I want to spread and share joy, and I want to deposit love wherever I go, and I want people to feel that. And, it's always so interesting, too, because they're like, oh, but, how can you be a boss woman and do that? All of my emails, whether or not it's going to a CEO of a company, whether or not I'm texting with some of my dearest friends who live in the C-suites of major organizations, it says with gratitude, or whether or not I'm, speaking to my best friend, it says with gratitude. And, I think this is the other thing that's really important for us as Black women. Our fullness might not be okay for everyone, but it is to the benefit of everyone. You see what I mean? Like we can't leave pieces of ourselves anywhere. And, that doesn't mean that every space is going to be quote unquote ready for all of you. Yeah. That's not for you to think about. Yeah.
But you learned that at a very early age. You said that learning, coming from a mother who had you at a very young age, being raised in 3 different households because of your grandparents and their influence in your life, you said you learned very early that you couldn't show up as your full self in all of those spaces.
It was different in each space. I think they loved me, but there were different expectations at each place. They loved me fully though. And I think that was the thing. There were different rules. One of the things that growing up, funny story, like growing up in my father's family's house with my paternal grandparents, my grandmother was a homemaker, so she stayed at home and she washed clothes every single day. So you got a new towel and a new washcloth every single day, and you just left it, at the top of the stairs because she was going to take it down and do laundry probably in 25 minutes. Yeah. And when I moved when we go to my mom's house, they were like, "What? And you better pick that up and put that in the hamper." Yeah. Because they're working women. They're not doing laundry until the weekend. Yeah. And they were single at that. But I learned to. I think what I can say now is that different parts of me were nurtured more holistically in each home. So I think about it with my grandmother Mary, who will forever be my first soulmate. She indeed was my first soulmate. She let me be as creative and as vocal as I wanted to be and needed to be. So much so, because I did talk a lot. I had a lot to say. Even
I would never gather that about your personality.
I had a lot to say as a kid. And I went to Catholic school, so they were like, she would say, I would get called in. And I remember my grandmom and my mom going to school and them saying, well, she challenges authority. And my grandmother said, well, is she disrespectful? Is she rude? And they're like, no, she just asks a lot of questions. And my grandma was like, well, we encourage her to do that at home. Yeah. So I had that there. Whereas at, my paternal grandparents' house, my grandmother was, the Pentecostal evangelist, it was more like,
it's a lot of rules. It's a lot of rules.
Right. A lot of rules and expectations.
You had to wear your long skirt, no makeup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a baby. She passed when I was 8, but she was that woman. Yeah. So there were rules and hard expectations, but love. And I think that's at the end of the day what I'm grateful for is, I had all of this love. My mom, because she was a young mom though, was more like a sister to me. She always present. Yeah. Always present, but she was the one who brought me the fly. When the Jordans came out, I had the Jordans. Yeah. She was that. She took me to, art galleries, and I remember, when she was younger and single, I would go out on dates with her. Like it was that.
You went out on dates with your mother?
Yeah, because if I was with her that weekend,
who was going?
So what was? I mean, and she wanted to spend time with me. So if somebody wanted to take her out, it's like you taking me and my baby too. So we, and it's nice to actually reminisce about those moments because I think oftentimes we're even in relationships today, we're looking for all of the nurturing from one person.
Oh goodness!
And what you realize is that you need different people to kind of be sources in different ways. Yeah. So. But it was interesting. But I think that they each deposited something really special and necessary. Yeah. That helped to kind of make me who I am. And my grandparents are all gone now, and have transitioned, and I'm sure they're proud.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I'm
absolutely.
sure they're proud. So I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've normalized therapy in your conversations, and you've been very, very vocal about your therapy journey. And so how has your journey in therapy played into the relationship with your mother?
Oh, well, therapy has played into it. My trip to Bali has played into it. But let's talk about the therapy part. No, because Bali really did something for me.
Did she go?
No, she didn't go, but she did say she's coming to Jamaica, hopefully.
Okay.
So I started therapy for the first time when I was 25, when I had that big job.
Good for you.
And because I was going back crazy. I was going back crazy. Like it was a crazy time for me. Trying to run that business. I also was engaged at the time, so I was in a relationship, trying to navigate doing that, and
frontal lobe still developing.
Girl,
that's a lot of things.
Girl, I was like, what is this? Is this what's supposed to be happening
in my adult life?
In my adult life, is this what it is?
Yeah.
So I started therapy at 25, and then I remember, going back again when I became a caregiver to my grandmother, and I remember actually saying to my mom I wanted her to go in at that time too, because she was a caregiver to my grandma. She was the primary, and the two of us together. And, I talked a lot about origin story. I don't speak very much about my father, even though I lived in a house with him. He was also quite young when I was born, but his parents were my parents. He wasn't equipped to be a parent, and is still struggling with his own journey. And I have 4 siblings that's from my father. I'm my mother's only child. So there's a lot there.
Yeah.
So therapy helped me address, both the origin story and, childhood trauma and childhood wounds that we all have. And it's not about like releasing yourself from them. It's more about understanding them. And in particular, in the relationship with my mother, because as I said, my mother's always been incredibly present. My mom's a fantastic woman. But now that I am a grown woman with full frontal lobe development, I have a different level of appreciation and understanding for her journey.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's what therapy has helped me to do a lot of. It's helped me to process my own feelings about situations and circumstance and my own understanding to grow them. But it's also giving me greater tools and understanding around what real empathy looks like, and what compassion really looks like.
What did it look like before?
Before therapy, I think it was just dismissive. It was very Newark. Like, in certain relationships, I think I could always have it with people in the world.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we struggle. We might have certain ways of operating with people in the world, and then sometimes we come back to home and it's a little bit different, because then we're carrying the weight and the burden of, or the responsibility or the pain or the disappointment of what is personal to us. And so, I think historically, when I think about the evolution of even my relationship with my father, which is not necessarily a relationship, just more forgiveness and more acceptance and more like real unconditional love, where I'm praying for his journey. I'm praying for his healing in his life. And I'm just so grateful that I'm here.
Yeah.
But now I have more compassion, and I'm able to ask, like, well, what does that feel like to you? What does that mean to you? And I think therapy helps you to step outside of yourself to get back into yourself.
For sure.
And I highly recommend it. And not just, therapy or coaching to work on our emotional selves. You need that support spiritually. Like, I want to coach for every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Fitness, wellness, spiritual, business, and it also it's great to have mirrors who are, completely objective.
Yeah.
Because when you talk to some people, you're going to get their subjective thoughts and opinions, and that only adds color rather than, illuminating and gives you this magnifying glass. Yeah.
I was 34 when I first set foot in therapy, and I will have to say I knew at 22 that I needed to go.
Really?
I knew at 22. And I remember I had just graduated from college. I moved out to Los Angeles, and I remember standing in the room with my dad. I was like, I need therapy. Like, I feel like I need to talk to somebody. And my dad said, and I tell this story in my book, Black people don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. Just get over it.
Yeah.
And how many of us heard that same kind of story, that same kind of response, and said, oh, wait, I don't need it. I just need to get over it.
Right, yeah.
And I spent so many years just trying my best to get over it. And baby, I couldn't. I didn't know how to. I didn't have the tools, because I thought, coming from a very religious background, that I'm going to pray about it, and I got the scriptures, and I got the answers. I'm going to just go to church every week and make sure I tithe, and it's going to reveal itself. But it never happened.
Life don't work like that.
It does not. You got to go do that work.
You got to do that work.
Yeah.
So what was the catalyst in that 34 to make you go? If there was this 12-year gap of you like telling your dad, I need it, get over it.
It was a text message from my dad. And it was in March. And I said, you got to go now, because this has triggered you in such a way that it took my whole day out. And because it took my whole day, I said, you don't have the time to have your whole day taken by somebody, and you allow that. And I went into therapy. I called, I said, I'm ready. And I didn't look back.
And so are you a once a week, once every 2 weeks, or now as you need it?
I was a once a week that was like 2016, 2017, once a week until this year.
Yeah, me too.
Until this year.
Yeah.
And now I go as needed.
I'm an as needed person now,
I'm
too.
as needed. Because I went from every week to then I was going 2 times a month, every other week. And I was like, oh, this is good. And then I got to a point where I was like, you got the tools, baby. Go on out there. You just swim.
And I also think, the other thing about the therapist, client relationship is that as you grow, you might need to grow to a different therapist.
Absolutely.
And I know people that have been with the same person for like 10 and 15 years. I'm like, I think I might be tired of talking to them. But no.
But I honestly, and I love my therapist, but I honestly think that was when the shift has started, because I think that there's other things that I want to work through and work on. And I don't know I think that we've come to, a conclusion, in our relationship.
Yeah. If you don't have a therapist, I mean, there are so many resources now too.
Yeah. Therapy for Black girls. I have put that in my newsletter multiple times. It has helped so many of my friends find their therapist by using Therapy for Black girls.
Therapy for Black Girl Doctor is another one. It's a wealth of opportunity to find someone. And also, I think the other thing I just want to reiterate, the reason why the therapist is so good, because they're trained to understand how the mind works too.
Yeah.
Which is very different than talking to your best friend. We love her. She great.
Listen.
Shout out to you, Yasmin and Nadia. Love you guys. Love you. But,
they know all about Tyshawn. They done heard about Tyshawn for the last 2 years. They know all they can know about Tyshawn.
Exactly.
They tired of him.
It's like they don't want to hear nothing else about him. So it's a different thing. It's a different thing.
It is.
Yeah.
So I love that you I feel like your evolution has been in front of people, and you've never shied away from that. And I think that's what makes your journey so special, is because you've always kind of lived as this open book. And as I'm going through, baby, I'm gonna take you on the journey.
Come on, let's go, girl. Let's go. Where we going?
Yeah. And I think that speaks to it speaks to the sisterhood, right? Because you grew up, you went to an all-girls high school, you're a Spelman graduate, and you really feel like your duty is to support women. And I think when people see your journey, it's almost like, this is how I'm supporting you. This is how I'm showing up for you. I want you to show up for yourself, though.
Yeah, it's incredible. I just that's the God be knowing part, about like how we're meant to be used, right? Yeah. Even if it's in different facets of business, different enterprises, like but I also just believe in the power of women. I know it personally, because I saw my grandmother, take care of her mother, help take care of me, go to college, go to graduate school,
Your grandmother?
My grandmother.
Wow.
Mary was a beast.
Wow.
Okay. And then I saw her, promote and push my mom to do the same. My mom became a homeowner at 35 years old while in graduate school, and, completed college as an adult. And we didn't get all the things right all the time, but that's what nurtured me. And I also saw the difference with them, and my grandmother in particular. My grandmother had a tribe of girlfriends that religiously, I don't know how they did this. Every Sunday before Sunday school, they were on the phone. I'm like, y'all gonna see each other at church. Like, why y'all on the phone now?
Yeah.
But I saw that network and what that meant. Yeah. And I think growing up, going to an all-girls high school in Newark, New Jersey, the only one in Newark, New Jersey, shout out to St. Vincent Academy, and then Spelman, just really helped me to, they were reflections, but different, different types of reflections. Yeah. And so I just believe in us. And when I see us, and I know our pains, but I know our triumphs too. I know our possibilities. I know that on different levels. And I just feel called to share and support and deposit where I can. But I also, let me just say this, y'all, I'm ready to receive too. So listen,
because you're dropping all these love deposits, and I was asking who's dropping these love deposits. How is your tribe dropping those love deposits in your life?
Well, my tribe does a great job. Yeah. My sisterhood does a great job. I gotta acknowledge, and I can rattle off some names. I don't want to miss anybody, but Yasmin, her name is Yasmin. I call her Yasmin. Nadia, Mashonda, Kimmy, Kelly, Jennifer, Natalie. I have my business partner Malika. And Brown Girl Jane. I have a tribe, and I'm really, really grateful for how they show up. Now I'm ready for the love, the blessed love partner and life partner, because I think that that's different too.
Yeah.
And so I'm ready for that.
What does that look like for you? I interviewed Dr. Stacey J. Johnson. She has the program Just Date Girl, but she has a program called I Want a Good Man University. I want a good man.
I want a great, blessed, outstanding, loving, honest, God-fearing, connected, patient, generous, fun. But someone who also wants to build. That's the other thing. It's like you get to this place in life, and I'm happy that I took off the Superwoman cape some time ago, even though I think I still do a little bit too much sometimes. But I also believe that when God blesses me with this person, when they enter my life for that reason and in that season, everything else that we are meant to do in this earth and on this planet and in this time is going to be multiplied and elevated.
For sure.
Because one of the things I came to realize, and this is also, different from sometimes the generations past, where there is this thought that I don't need anyone, which I'm like, no, I need someone.
I do. Hey, you. I need you.
All right, you look into your camera. Well, why don't we look into this?
We need you.
We need you. We need you.
Yeah.
I need you.
Yeah.
But I do believe, and I feel it even, I have my godsons, Yasmin's 2 boys, had them last week, and I
saw that on your Insta story.
I have 8 godchildren, and I love them to pieces.
Wow.
But I had my 2 oldest godsons last week, and I feel so much more grounded when that love anchors me, and even more capable and even more dynamic, quite frankly. It's a beautiful thing to know that when they're there, 2:30, while they're there that week, I shut off work.
Yeah.
So I have to be productive, because then the rest of the time is their time. Yeah. So I just feel like it's when God places him, he's working on him right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting him ready.
Oh, yeah.
When he's getting him ready, I know you're getting ready. Get ready. Because I'm also in my 40s too, child. Take you out. No.
Listen, she is going to love on you. She is going to love all on you.
I'm happy you said it that way.
Love all on you. Listen, because we there, honey. Listen, you are not alone. I am here with you. In the words of Michael Jackson. Hello?
Hello.
Listen.
Rock with you, honey.
As we wrap up this interview, because I know I could talk to you all
we could really go on.
All day long.
We really could.
What are you committed to? What is Tai committed to in this season?
In this season right now, I am committed to making room for love. That really is. I'm committed to that. I remain committed to my calling, but and my purpose. Yeah. I'm committed to making room for love and, nurturing that relationship with God and self. I'm also I'm in this space of just wanting to feel all joy. It's interesting. What is going to make life easier? What are going to be the things that are going to bring those moments of joy and ease? And so,
joy and ease, more love in your life. More love,
yeah.
The love. Well, you know what?
I want more love too.
Yeah, and it shows up in so many different ways, and even in the seasons that it shows up in, how it gives to us in those seasons. Yeah. So, one word that you are living by right now.
God's grace. Well, that's 2.
That's
grace.
Okay. Grace.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the valleys.
Even in the valleys, grace.
Really in the valley. Grace. That's when we need it the most. Yeah. It's the grace.
What about you? What's your one word?
My word right now is honestly love. I have affirmations on my mirror, and I live in the overflow. I live in the overflow of love. I live in the abundance of love. It's all around me. So I live by that because it doesn't miss me, and I don't miss it.
There we go.
Amen, church. Listen,
hello, hallelujah.
On that note, look, I want to thank you for joining me today. I know we really could have done like 2 hours worth of conversation.
I'm still coming to Atlanta. You want to shoot?
I feel like we're going to do part 2 when she comes, because I feel like, she might be there for homecoming weekend or something.
I will be.
And it might be a new love. It's always
from your mouth to look. Then we're going to have to come back and do a praise report, okay?
Because it might be her love is at homecoming this year. So look, I want to thank the beautiful Tai Beauchamp for joining me. Tai, you want to tell them your Instagram?
Totally. Do I? Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Tai Beauchamp, and my Instagram is at Taibo, at TAIBEAU, also at Morning Mindset with Tai. And we didn't talk about Brown Girl Jane, but also at It's Brown Girl Jane, so that way we can scent your life for all the things.
Listen, we did not talk about her
okay.
company.
We had a lot.
We covered a lot of ground, didn't we?
I felt like it was. I mean, it was what my spirit leaded on this Friday. So I thank you. I thank you.
I love you, Tai.
I love you back.
Until next time, you guys, make sure you follow Tai. Follow Morning Mindset with Tai. Also, Brown Girl Jane, a 5-blend perfume fragrance set. You can get it. Y'all got a new discovery set.
It's 6 actually. So there's 6 cents. 6 cents. So get that extra one.
Yes.
But and they're meant to layered, because we know that Black women are layered, and we're winning all the fragrance awards, and it's a really exciting time. So I'm really blessed.
They are beautiful. You can see it. You probably going to get an ad for right now on your Instagram. So look, be sure to follow. Until next time, you guys, eat well, give a damn, move your body every single day. Peace. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for watching my episode with Tai Beauchamp. Y'all, this was like that good girlfriend conversation. It was a conversation that you have on a Saturday with your girl with a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or something. We just had a good time. But here are my takeaways with my interview with Tai. Find community. There's so much connection to be had when we get our tribe and we find our community. Tai's been able to create that space for so many women and men with Morning Mindset with Tai. Something that started off as an IG Live has now spawned into a monthly meetup and an international retreat. And she's headed to multiple countries this year. So that was my first thing, connection. The second thing is it's okay to surrender to the process and be vulnerable. Therapy has been one of those tools that has helped Tai along the way, and she advocates for so many other people to show up for themselves in that way. When you find that connection and center with Source and Power, the Creator, God, whoever you call it, you will find so much power in your own divine light and your own divine life. Until next time, you guys, be sure to subscribe to the Vault Village. We got more inspiring conversations on the way. Until next time, y'all. Peace.